Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Wife cheated, no betting to come back. This is my first post, however I've been lurking from the beginning. So this is all very new. Wife of 5 years been together, 13 discovered her cheating first week of May, found DM that painted the full picture, still burns just thinking about it. She began chatting to this person around the beginning of March, and by the end of March, I began to notice a change. More social media selfies, frequent visits to the same club/bar, and this is where she met this guy. She would go with her pals, mom and sisters, so I didn't think much of it at first, but when she began arranging going to this spot, which is not like her at all, I realized something was up. I checked her phone at random, but it had a complicated password and all the red signs. Anyway, a week before I found her, I called her out on the schism between us, since I'm sure you've all seen how a cheater behaves. And she said she believes we should split up because we're too different, etc. blah blah. So I agree and tell her that if she wants to separate, she must go, and we agree that I would give her time to find a place to live, since I have always been the provider. And we have an 11-year-old boy, so she has chosen not to work for a long time. After a week, I locate the DM and confront her through text. All she says is that she's coming to retrieve her things while I'm at work. So she moved in with her sisters since she has no work and no money. We both agree that no matter what, we would split the bill 50/50 with our kid. I found her on May 4th. There was no communication with her for the first 2 weeks. Her own sister and mother were arguing with her and trying to be a shoulder to rely on through the horror I was going through. I couldn't sleep or eat, and I operate my own business, so trying to keep it together has required every ounce of strength I had. Knowing she threw everything away for a man at the club makes me ill, as does knowing what she is putting our kid through for her own selfish ambitions. I have not been a great husband by any means, but I have always been a devoted provider for our family. To add salt to the wound, she begins posting falsehoods on social media, claiming that we have been separated for a long time, that we are going through a divorce, and that she has met someone else. But everyone who knows me is aware of the reality. I began the divorce process via mediation since, for the most part, we agree on practically everything, but I'm sure that will change. After a month of hell and no contact, me just avoiding knowing anything about her and her new life, I began to pick myself up and look forward to the future, if only for a few moments at a time, until a week ago when she sent a half-apology text, for the first time admitting she was wrong. I ignored it and planned on not responding to anything that didn't have to do with our son or divorce. A few more the next day stating she wanted to chat and apologized, then around 100 void messages and texts the next day asking me to forgive her and take her back, and how she was blinded and would do everything to make it right. Turns out she got a DUI a few nights ago, and I suppose without me to hold her hand, her world is now collapsing around her. I've always believed in karma, and that it will eventually come up with her, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. And for a brief moment, I felt a small victory for once after the month I had just gone through, but that quickly faded, and the past week and the small progress I had made has started all over again. I'm staying strong, but there is that little devil in the back of my mind, tempting me to see if she is willing to change, but trust me, I know it's just a desperate attempt by her. This is still going on. She continues promising to show me that she can be a better person, but I was better off when she was just enjoying her new best life. Sorry for the book, and a horribly written one at that. There are so many more details that make it even more messed up, but here is the gist of it. Thank you to everyone who reads. This sub has been a safe haven for me where I don't feel alone. I just reviewed what I stated and wanted to add a few more things. When I discovered the DM, she had been sleeping with this person for at least 3 weeks before she requested for the separation, claiming she was going to the store or her sister's place when she was going to meet him. I take my kid to practice and go to the gym after work, and she utilized that time to sneak around. And that's all I know, since SC and Instagram were their primary modes of communication. So who knows how many other times she lied using SC messages that were deleted. And also, when we first discussed separation/divorce, she said she didn't want anything house-ect, just 5,050 with our son. But the day before I found the DMS, I reiterated the fact that we cannot live together and be separated via text, and she blew up and told me that this was her home, and she would not leave, and legally if anyone needed to leave, it was me. Lol, I'm guessing she saw something on Instagram. Thank goodness I discovered her old phone the following day and was able to connect onto her social media, since she has the same password for everything. I can't fathom the misery she would have put me through if I didn't have actual proof. I just wanted to thank everyone for all of your encouraging comments and excellent advice. I was astounded by how many people took the time to read and comment. I will definitely provide updates and attempt to respond to everyone. Story 2. Wife kissed someone a year ago, but I'm still up in the head about it. So here's the deal. 10 years of marriage. Wonderful union. We got along well. We argued a little, but nothing harsh came from any of us. She was active on social media and had a Snapchat relationship with one of her coworkers. They'd speak about us, him and his girlfriend, I was informed. She acknowledges he once told her she was lovely, but she claims he was never overtly confrontational with her. And she had a number of these friendships with some colleagues on Snapchat. So he wasn't the only one. She works in a restaurant, and those generally wind up being quite tight-knit groups. I know since I bartended for years and was part of that sort of friend/family group dynamic. Anyway, I assume this carried on for about 3 months until one night, when at the pub where they all met up every Friday, he led her out and kissed her. She confesses to kissing him back for a few seconds before breaking the kiss, getting in her vehicle and driving home, and ceasing to communicate with him over Snapchat. I believe he didn't get the point and ended up showing up at her work one night, attempting to convince her to come to his home, but she refused. I know this because I overheard a chat between her and another female acquaintance, in which she expresses her displeasure that he showed up at her employment, attempting to get her to do anything. Here's the issue. I just observed her and her friend's communication and never saw a message between him and her, except for one that I'll mention later. And Snapchat, being what it is, has my mind racing. It's killing me to constantly envisioning my wife with this person. I trust her narrative because when I challenged her immediately after discovering it, she came clean and told me what occurred, and I was able to speak with the other person, who gave me a similar tale. They kissed. I asked if she ever gave him selfies. He replied around 5, but just of her face, nothing naked. He claimed they never F or oral or anything more than the kiss. I contacted him from her phone while my wife was still in the shower after seeing the texts, and he answered straight away assuming I was her. Aside from that, the buddy I saw my wife chatting to about everything also said that he informed her they had slept together. That's essentially how this entire situation began. He gave her a kiss. He informed her buddy that they had F her and her pal were talking about how they F with him. I did hear my wife say things like he was asking me to come over, and I can't believe he came up here and thinks I'm a manner that I'm not, and that she went off on him for being a lying piece of and things like that. I noticed one communication she sent him a few days before I discovered everything. It was the Friday night before I found out. She went to the bar to meet her other work friends, and he sent her a Snapchat message that said sorry, I guess for lying, and she sent him a message going off on him for lying, although she never outright says you lied. She basically said, you should be sorry for running your mouth. I was always honest with you, and that hurt. I have to say, based on the texts I read, it might go either way. It's conceivable that a one-night stand at a party occurred, but it's also plausible that there was just a brief kiss outside a gathering one night. I'm not looking for remarks like my wife say, or anything like that. I adore my wife, with whom I have 2 children. I chose to remain a long time ago and will see things through to the finish. What I'm seeking for is essentially anybody who has been in the same circumstance and has had to learn how to look at his wife without seeing her engage in physical activity with someone else. But most importantly, how do you deal with your obsessive thoughts? I understand that when it comes to having your wife cheat on you, a kiss is like literally nothing, and there are tons of husbands who wish their wives only kissed someone and pushed them off. But it's still really hard to look at my wife and not worry that she's only telling me part of what she's done out of fear of losing me. I have to confess that when I received the texts, I leapt to certain assumptions that have been difficult to shake. I've been thinking a lot about, did she him? I've been working non-stop for the previous 13 months and need assistance regulating my own imagination.